1. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I've had a very colorful life. I have a very dysfunctional family. My ex-girlfriend a couple of years ago slept with another guy and left me. And my business mentor, someone who I look up to, screwed me over and abandoned me during a very pivotal part of my career. I reject a lot of this Disney and Hallmark bullshit about being forced to have to believe in second chances or forced to forgive particular individuals, precisely because people have every capacity to think that these people cannot change, especially in instances where they have been so harmed and a lot of these things are deemed to be heinous. We think that even if these people can change, these are an outlier rather than the rule. In order for us to truly be able to protect ourselves, we have to reject this narrative and live in the real world wherein life is hard and people often disappoint. The problem with what opposition is going to talk about is a simple rhetoric pump. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, sounds good, but doesn't work. Here are a couple of features of our policy we think are important for this debate. Number 1, this is not a debate about second chances being good or not, or if people deserve second chances. This is uniquely about the blanket narrative, and we think that there are 3 sub-points under this which we think we have a problem with insofar as this narrative is concerned. A, we have a problem that it's a blanket narrative because that implies that it applies in all contexts and in all situations. But in instances where you have a dictator that for centuries has used cronyism and the levers of capitalism to harm developing nations and put them under oppression, we think that these particular contexts and instances, especially when you have an asymmetrical power dynamic between a victim and people who are bad, don't deserve that particular forgiveness or second chance. B, we don't think it should apply to all individuals because obviously you have the worst of the worst in as much as you have the best of the best, and we think that the worst of the worst people like Hitler, like all the people who have harmed us and screwed us over, do not deserve second chances, especially in my pre-oration where I mentioned that them actually changing and actually reforming is an outlier rather than the rule. We shouldn't force society to have to forgive them. C, we're against this part in the motion of it being about entitlement, because entitlement sends this message that society has to forgive them, and it even becomes this burden for society and the person who is the victim, the aggrieved individual, to have to forgive these bad people. The second part of framing is that what is our counterfactual, right? And it's very simple. We reject a lot of this narrative and we want people to look at it as an outlier rather than the norm. Therefore, it shouldn't be a blanket narrative. This is our way of people being skeptical and having their guard up. We're willing to bite the bullet and say that people might be jaded at worst in terms of second chances, but that's exactly what gives choices and agency value, Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen, at the point in which you can't just make mistakes willy-nilly and hope that because of this narrative, people are going to forgive you. Because yeah, we're all human, we make mistakes, but in order for us to make better ones and not fudge things up too much, we don't want a world wherein people take advantage of that. What is my argument? My argument is that we should oppose this particular narrative because it has harms in the following individuals. A, it has harms ironically on the offender, the person who might have a shot at a second chance. B, it of course harms the victim, the people who are aggrieved by what they've done. And C, it harms society at large when you send a message. Why is that the case? First layer of analysis. It undermines the process of forgiveness because forgiveness should come from genuine perspective and not be hinged on I have to forgive you because the narrative in society tells me to do so. The problem with this blanket policy is that it puts pressure and burden on the victim or people who are harmed to have to forgive their oppressor. It literally becomes Stockholm Syndrome meeting professional gaslighting, even if it means well, even if we're motivated by, yeah, this guy, he's human, he can change. We think, yeah, that could be true, but in instances where that person is able to truly change, then we think that individual should suck it up and understand that the road to atonement and being forgiven is hard, and absent the narrative, this is something you have to work for. Before that, POI, go for it, whoever raised it. Yeah, what's the POI? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, next time when you raise a POI, just say it so it doesn't waste time in the speech. Second scenario, right? The second scenario is that even if that person does not change, it actually becomes a societal self-defense of that particular individual in order for us to protect ourselves against the worst in society. Call me jaded, call me pessimistic, but we really live in a reality wherein life is hard and people often disappoint. Our counterfactual is clear. We rather have people be jaded and skeptical and not be too accommodating, because at the point in which you're too accommodating,
Hello.
you sell
Hi,
yourself
has
short.
the debate begun in this room?
I'm pausing my timer. Yeah, who is this? Are you a judge? Who said that? I paused my timer at 6 minutes. Yeah, the debate has begun. I'm Prime Minister. I'm 6 minutes in my speech. I will continue on a self count of 3 to 1. I hope you guys can't stop interrupting it. Beginning my speech again. I have 6:18 here. 3, 2, 1, beginning now. The harm, ladies and gentlemen, with being overly accommodating is that people can take advantage of it. Yes, people can change. I understand that. Op is going to talk about how people deserve it. If you really deserve it and you really can change, absent this narrative, you're gonna atone, you're gonna do the jail time, you're gonna take the societal backlash, you're gonna take the harder burden and route to be able to get forgiveness. The problem with this blanket policy is it fosters a sense of entitlement. And what this does is that it makes people take for granted the relationships and things that they do properly because, you know what? They're gonna forgive me anyway. And that in and of itself harms our capacity to truly make decisions. And we think that on our side, we reject that and we support a world wherein people can be safe, people can be realistic. And with that, I am very proud to open this debate from side proposition.